In New York City, the skyline sparkled like a fortress of wealth, but within those glass towers, fortunes could change in the blink of an eye, often built on secrets that never saw the light of day. For Michael Kane, a young financial analyst hailing from Ohio, Wall Street had always felt like the ultimate stage where ambition could rewrite one's fate. He graduated at the top of his class, eager to make his mark, and when a mid-sized hedge fund called Raven Capital brought him on board, it felt like the dream he had been pursuing since his college days. Raven might not have been the biggest player in Manhattan, but it had a knack for exceeding expectations. Their returns were steady, sometimes even suspiciously so, and their founder, Richard Arlen, carried himself with an air of invincibility. At investor conferences, he donned tailored suits, spoke with razor-sharp precision, and promised strategies that saw what others missed. The firm's clientele ranged from old money families to tech entrepreneurs and even pension funds. To the outside world, Raven Capital appeared to be a well-oiled machine designed to churn out success. Michael's initial weeks at Raven were nothing short of thrilling. The trading floor buzzed with energy, screens flickered with data streams, and deals moved faster than a heartbeat. He was assigned to a team focused on small-cap equities, companies that flew under the radar until Raven took notice. That's when he began to notice something peculiar. The trades weren't random at all. They always seemed to predict earnings beats, regulatory approvals, or even private acquisitions before they made headlines. At first, Michael attributed it to sheer brilliance. Raven simply had superior research, sharper models, and more aggressive analysts. But the deeper he dug, the more it felt like something was off. No one could be this accurate without having insider knowledge that others didn't. One late night, while sifting through trade logs, Michael stumbled upon a pattern. Raven had quietly amassed positions in 3 pharmaceutical companies, all of which were awaiting FDA decisions. Just days after each announcement, the firm cashed out, raking in millions. There were no reports to be found, no whispers circulating in financial circles. Raven wasn't taking chances, they were operating with certainty. The next morning, Michael casually mentioned it to his mentor, Sarah Delgado, a seasoned trader known for her sharp instincts. She didn't bat an eye. Instead, she locked eyes with him and said, "If you want to make it here, don't ask questions you're not ready to hear the answers to." Her tone wasn't aggressive, but it carried a clear warning. Curiosity could be a dangerous game. From that moment on, Michael began to view Raven in a new light. The pristine offices, the flawless trades, the air of confidence, it all felt like a carefully crafted illusion, like a magician's act meant to keep investors mesmerized. He thought about quitting, but the burden of his student loans and the lure of bonuses kept him tethered to his desk. He convinced himself he could play the game, collect his paycheck, and make his exit in a year. But in finance, secrets have a way of surfacing. One evening while going through compliance reports, Michael stumbled upon an encrypted folder hidden in the Raven shared server. The password, accidentally saved in a notes file by an intern, unlocked a treasure trove of emails between Arlen and someone with a government email address. The messages were brief, coded, and filled with urgency. They referenced timelines, green lights, and compensation routed discreetly. It didn't take a rocket scientist to connect the dots. Raven had an insider, someone feeding them confidential regulatory decisions before they hit the public eye. Michael's heart sank. He wasn't just working for a hedge fund, he was entangled in a criminal operation that manipulated markets with stolen information. If the SEC ever caught wind of this, everyone, analysts, traders, assistants, could find themselves in deep trouble. The pressure was mounting. Each day at work felt like a game of chess against his own conscience. Then came the moment that pushed him to act. Raven's next big move was a biotech company that was on the verge of developing a groundbreaking cancer drug. Millions were on the line. The firm was all in, banking on the FDA's approval. But Michael stumbled upon a memo hidden in the emails. The initial trial results were questionable. The approval was anything but certain, maybe even unlikely. Yet Raven continued to buy aggressively, urging analysts to write overly positive internal reports. Something was definitely off. That weekend, Michael caught up with an old college buddy, Rachel Kim, who was now a junior attorney at the SEC. Over coffee, he tiptoed around the subject, asking hypotheticals about what would happen if a firm had insider knowledge before the market did. Rachel scrutinized him closely. If you're just asking casually, that's one thing. But if you're asking because you know something, you need to tread very carefully. Whistleblowers have protections, but they also become targets. Michael returned home, restless and unable to sleep. The following week, Raven doubled down on its biotech gamble. Arlen called for an all-hands meeting, delivering a speech about conviction, courage, and vision. To Michael, it felt like a sermon before a storm. When the FDA announcement hit, it caught everyone off guard. The drug was rejected. Shares tanked overnight, erasing billions in market value. Raven should have been in trouble. But instead, Michael noticed something chilling. Raven had quietly shorted the stock just days before the announcement, cashing in on the collapse. They hadn't lost, they had struck gold. Michael pieced it all together. The inside source wasn't just feeding them approvals, they were also feeding denials. Raven was playing both sides, always positioning itself for outcomes that others couldn't foresee. The biotech bet was just a facade, a smokescreen for investors. The real profits were being made in the shadows. Michael had the proof he needed. The emails, the trade logs, the inconsistencies, they all painted a clear picture of a deeply fraudulent operation. But taking down Raven would mean declaring war. Arlen was a powerful figure, well-connected and utterly ruthless. Meanwhile, Michael was just an analyst, armed with a hard drive full of secrets. The tipping point came when Sarah pulled him aside. "You've been digging too deep," she said quietly. "I don't know what you've uncovered, but take my advice. Delete it, forget it, and just cash your bonus. No one comes out on top against Richard Arlen." That night, Michael got an anonymous message on his personal phone. "We know what you accessed. Stay loyal, stay safe." A chill ran down his spine. Someone was definitely watching him. Yet his conscience wouldn't let him off the hook. He reached out to Rachel again, this time laying it all bare. She urged him to bring everything but warned him once he crossed that line, there was no turning back. Whistleblowers might be protected by law, but in reality, their lives often fell apart. Careers were destroyed, reputations tarnished, and the pressure was relentless. Michael decided to hand over the evidence. But before he could act, he came home one night to find his apartment door ajar. Nothing seemed stolen, but his laptop had been moved. The message was unmistakable. Raven wasn't playing games. The next day, Arlen himself summoned Michael to his office. The view from the 50th floor offered a breathtaking panorama of Manhattan, the city sparkling with potential. Arlen poured 2 glasses of scotch, sliding one towards Michael. "You're sharp," he remarked. "Too sharp. Men like you don't stay analysts forever. Stay loyal, and I'll make you wealthy. Incredibly wealthy. But if you ever think about betraying me, remember this. Finance has no shortage of casualties." Michael left the office feeling rattled. The trap was tightening around him, but so was his determination. He wouldn't be swayed. He wouldn't stay quiet. Weeks later, the headlines hit like a thunderclap. SEC launches probe into Raven Capital over insider trading allegations. The investigation sent shockwaves through Wall Street. Investors freaked out, clients yanked their money, and reporters flooded the firm's lobby. Arlen was adamant, calling it a witch hunt, but the leaked documents, emails, trade data, and insider communications told a different story. No one knew who had blown the whistle. Michael watched the chaos unfold, consumed by the fear that someone might piece it all together. His name never made it into the news, but Raven's downfall was anything but tidy. Arlen faced indictment, Sarah resigned before the charges came down, and the firm crumbled under the weight of scrutiny. Michael never received his bonus. He never enjoyed the plush Wall Street lifestyle. Instead, he packed his bags, left New York, and faded into obscurity. But sometimes, late at night, he found himself wondering, had he truly made the right choice? The markets were still teeming with ravens. For every empire that fell, another one sprang up, sharper, smarter, and hungrier. Maybe all he had done was scratch the surface of a game that was too vast to change. And that was the harshest reality of all. On Wall Street, justice was a fleeting concept, but greed? That was here to stay.